How do you use LinkedIn in your search for testers or QAs?
So I would say it's my favorite tool for beginning the search. Typically by that point I've advertised the role and that role will probably be on LinkedIn. But I will use it primarily to go through job titles. So we search mostly by job title, location, and by technology. So typically speaking, I will look for, I'll basically like search through people's profiles and look for whichever technologies are relevant, whether they're part of the geographical location that my client needs them to be in, and also I guess it's a good medium to tell how long people have worked there. You can tell if someone's fresh to a job or not. It's just it's a very good way to find transparent information on your candidate base, which is why it's my favorite tool.
I'm curious about when you say you search by job title. So are you using like just the search field and then only looking at their job titles? Like what other sorts of information are you looking at in LinkedIn when you're trying to source candidates?
So we're primarily looking at job titles, and I'll utilize Boolean code, so I can put multiple job titles into one search bar to bring up everything under that. And obviously the reason for that is as anyone in test will uphold, there's a million and one names for testers. Obviously, you got test engineer, test analyst, SDET.
Mm,
I'll pull up all of them because generally speaking, what that job entails will differ from company to company.
okay. And I noticed on LinkedIn there are some people who have fairly filled out LinkedIn profiles, and then others where it's very sparse. Like they'll only include their job title at a company and then the job titles at their previous companies.
Yeah.
How do you view such profiles? What are your
Um,
opinion? What is your opinion on such profiles?
so they're not ideal just because what that means is that I'm going to have to do a secondary level of screening where I then look at the companies they've worked in and maybe have a look at what other employees of those companies have been doing. So I'll take a look at those profiles and I'll see if maybe there are some of the relevant tooling in their colleagues' skill sets, and then whether there might be any translation, whether that means that they might have similar skills. So really, I guess the favor that they can do for themselves as a tester is by including your tooling in like specific to the job in the actual experience they do offer when you input your job title and your duration within that company. There is also a box there we can you can put notes. I would always put notes about like the kind of projects you did, the tooling that you used, roughly how much time you spent on it, because there will
Mm,
be occasional bits where you'll maybe do a proof of concept for a tool and you might not actually utilize it. um,
mm,
so anything that you used throughout the duration, I would definitely include in that because it'll just mean that we'll have a much easier time finding you and getting you to the right
okay,
place.
all right. And do you pay attention to tools and technologies in profiles or CVs?
Oh yeah, hugely. Mainly because they can kind of tell you a bit of a story about what that person's ideal environment is going to look like. I mean, if someone's had a lot of exposure to C sharp, .NET, and they seem to want to be sticking within those Microsoft environments, for example. Like they're really, really good with like their Azure pipelines and maybe spec flow for their BDD tool. Then I know that that person's going to do really well in like a fintech, 'cause a lot of the fintechs tend to be utilizing the Microsoft environments. A lot of the banks tend to be going that way. Anything really that handles online payments is more likely than not going to be utilizing a Microsoft environment. So that would allow me to go, and pitch that question to them and help them come to a decision sooner. Um, it also just means that, again, like I said, a lot of this is about bringing up the relevant candidates for the search as soon as possible, because the first ones that we see are the ones who are most likely going to get the calls, I guess.